Immunoglobulins, those are associated with your resistance to upper respiratory infections such as cold or flu. They are going to decrease after prolonged exercise. So especially long, intense exercise, so your immune function is a little bit depressed. So, and then looking at apoptosis, which is your programmed cell death. As we talked the other day, all cells die in the body. They are, turnover on a regular basis. And exercise doesn't really affect that all that much. But if you have a lot of inflammation with high intensity exercise, you can lead to increased cell death. So, but in general, exercise is not going to affect the program, the typical cell death that we have ongoing in the body. So what was proposed by Dr. David Neiman from Appalachian State in 2007? The article, if you look at that on Blackboard, that's also in the New Powers and Hawley chapter, if you've got the 8th edition or higher, something called the open window concept. And so where this came about was that he studied marathon runners. He's a marathon runner himself. And so what he was finding, and he also studies exercise in the immune system, that marathoners, after they completed a race, almost everybody got sick. That they got some sort of cold or other upper respiratory infection. And, just from a personal and a professional curiosity, he wanted to find out why, why this is happening. So this sounds very similar, especially for some of you at this point of the semester. After intense exercise, like the marathon, but doing a lot of overtraining, and that could be running a lot. That could also be a lot of practice and game. And of course, none of this is going on at this point of the semester. Lack of sleep. Maybe people are not eating optimally and they're under stress. So again, you don't necessarily need to be a marathoner to have this going on. So what happens in post-exercise is anywhere from 3 to up to 72 hours. So for up to 3 days post-intense exercise, your immune system remains depressed. And he calls that the open window because that gives the opportunity for bacteria and viruses to enter in the body and get you sick. So, but it tends to be, again, this long, intense exercise, overtraining, and combined with all these other factors like poor nutrition, lack of sleep, and stress. The interesting thing is moderate exercise does not cause the open window response. So regular exercise like walking and taking fitness classes, that actually does not depress your immune system in the same way. Let's look at the next slide. And so this is the figure that is from the article itself, and if you want to pull that up on Blackboard under the other course documents, so you can see what the difference between what happens in the immune system simulation between moderate and high intensity exercise. So if you look at the moderate intensity exercise, it goes up a little bit and then it comes back down and you're back to your, homeostasis like we talked about all semester. But then look what happens with intense exercise. So marathon or performance or again, overtraining and all these other things that are going on. So you get this big stimulation to your immune system and then it really, really comes back down. And you can see it can take, several hours for this to come up to baseline again. So what happens in this time period, this is where you're very vulnerable to those upper respiratory infections and bacteria and viruses. Doesn't help that a lot of other people are sick, and if you happen to touch your face, then that's going to increase your risk of getting sick. So I think it's really interesting from a physiological perspective that moderate exercise appears to protect you from getting sick, but intense exercise, particularly marathons and intense exercise combined with other factors, can lead to you getting sick.